What is up, my fantasy football fanatics? We are 8 days away from the start of the 2025 NFL season, and now we are at the last few drafts for best ball. Your fantasy football drafts may be happening this week or this weekend, and this is probably the best time ever. Because at this time we're all winners. There's no losers here. Your teams are all in the same spot, and we all have some optimism until week one happens and rips our hearts right out of our chests. But that's the joy of fantasy football and also best ball. It's a long season. Let's enjoy it while it's here, because when it's April and May and June, we're clamoring for football, but it's almost here, guys. And we're ready to finish up our drafts and all the rosters have now been set. There's no worries for MVS to take over your role. The MVS tour of all the NFL teams continues. He's now in San Francisco, and all is good. Like I said, all 53-man rosters are set for each team. A lot of not too many surprises, but also at the same time, I was just going to kind of go over why it's important to have a look at all the teams' depth charts to get an idea of where certain receivers, running backs fit in, because I know when it's training camp, there's quite a few names on that depth chart, so it's nice to only have to deal with 5 or 6 wide receivers and about 3 to maybe at the most 4 running backs on the depth chart to get an idea of who you should be targeting, especially in the later rounds of your drafts. So with that, let's not waste any more time. Let's get in on the Underdog platform and let's do a draft today. There's quite a few available as they kind of know that the end is near, before all these best ball tournaments are going to be gone. Best ball mania is still alive and well. So if you are waiting on all the news like I used to, now it's probably the best time to kind of get in the drafts. You know what to expect, you know where people are. Rashee Rice is going to be suspended. So he won't be playing until week 7. So that's interesting. That's about half the regular season. Interesting to see if that affects his ADP or not. I don't think it will. I think everyone kind of already knew that's going to be about 4 to 6 games at the most. So so I don't think that's really going to affect his ADP. He's going to go where he's going to go, and people are just going to hope that when he comes back, he's able to push your teams into the top of the standings of your pod. So we have a couple of options here. I'll do a puppy to start off with. Get a little bit of a warm up in, because sometimes, like I said before, now is the time when you're gonna get all the newbies to come in. People that have never played best ball ever before, and are now attracted to the draft, just because of NFL season starting next week. So they're hearing about it more and more. It's pretty much everywhere. So I think a lot of newbies are going to be here. So a lot here, potential stacks, potential, picks you think are going to relate to ADP. Throw that out the window. You have some guys out there that are going to ruin those stacks real quick. So I think it's important to always make sure that you have some contingency plans when it comes to drafting a team. Obviously, if you draft a couple of wide receivers and you expect, for example, BTJ and Travis Hunter, and you expect Trevor Lawrence to be there, but the guy before you says, F you, man, I'm taking Trevor Lawrence before you. Then what do you do, right? If that was your first quarterback off the board, what do you do now? Who do you go to? So So yeah, a lot of things. I think it's always good to kind of do these drafts. Obviously lower dollars, lower prizes, but at the same time, I think it helps build your ability to kind of know how to maneuver and what kind of pockets of value there are later in the draft if you do need to build that team. So without anything else being said, now let's kind of move on to the draft. We're picking number 7. This is kind of like picks right now. We're kind of going as off the board as what we expect. Bijan goes first though this time, so Jamar Chase falls to GM Simps at number 2, who's probably so happy because I don't think I've seen Jamar Chase go past number 3, and even those kind of drafts were pretty low dollar ones where there's too many wild people out there. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to go with CMC. I love getting them here, the number 7 spot. CMC could potentially be this year's comeback player of the year, and potentially could have us all thinking maybe he deserved to be in the top 3 or 4 picks, just because of his role and his skill set. So he's done it before, and all of us know in the back of our heads that he can do it again. So and that San Francisco depth chart is hurting. If you looked at for wide receivers, it's not pretty. It's like something like out of like a horror film. You got Ricky Pearsall, and then you don't know what's going on. Juwan Jennings, he's unknown. Then you got Jacob Cowing. What's that other rookie's name? It's kind of escaping my head. Watkins, I believe. And now you have MVS. Like, wow, it's not very pretty, like I said. So a lot of I think a Kittle, Pearsall, CMC to begin the season if Juwan Jennings is truly out until Brandon Ayuk comes back, and that's set at right now week 6, but you never know, right? Guys start practicing, ramping up the activity, and sometimes the surgically repaired knees don't respond well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that team. They do benefit from a very easy schedule when you look at strength of schedule from a lot of different platforms. So that will be a bonus for them. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them. Especially given their offense is not the same without Debo and Ayuk to start. So we're looking at right now. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to go with Achan. Just like that news blurb kind of said. GM came out and said he's going to be ready for week 1. So potentially a value pick here, especially at pick number 18, especially when HN was going around pick number 12 to 14 earlier this draft season. Yeah, a lot. Obviously, the cap is not. It's not ideal. But who knows better than that than his teammate on my best ball team, CMC. So casts are not. Not to be taken lightly, that's for sure. But hopefully this is just maybe, resting him. No point of putting him through the rigors of practice, getting any potential hits before the season starts, because obviously HN is going to be a big part of this team. And now with Jonnu Smith out, those shorter passes that Tua loves are probably going to be going to him and potentially Jaden Waddle and potentially Tyreek Hill if his head is on straight when the season starts. But especially for Tyreek, sometimes I just think about it. If that man is right, what a value right now where he's going, right? Because we know what that offense is about. We know what they can do, how they can blow the top off the defenses. So if he's all good, he's all right, and we can come back to some sort of proper offense that Mike McDaniels, right? Or McDonald? Oh God, what's his name? Anyways, the Miami coaches, if they come back to 2023, not last year, but 2023 offense for Miami, their value. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put my my pick to where my mouth is, or mouth to my pick, and I'm going to pick Tyreek. He is dropping here. He's ADP's 26, but 27, and I'm getting him at pick 31. And I'm just let's just bank on that for this draft for my team right now. Let's just bank on Miami coming back to relevance, Tua staying healthy this year, and that offense looking awesome. So I picked Tyreek here as my first wide receiver off the board, and so far I have CMC and Devon Achane as my running backs, and then Tyreek as my wide receiver. And we will be picking in 7 picks, pretty close here. So a lot of good wide receivers still on the board, so we're good on that. We still have Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Tet McMillan. And just pour one out for old man Thielen, who now goes back home to Minnesota. He had a great run there in Carolina. Fantasy football dad. He's our hero. We all aspire to be like Adam Thielen. Fantasy football dad, spokesman, and biggest endorser is now off to Minnesota, where he'll probably have a big role to begin with Addison out. So I think for at least for the first 3 or 4 weeks, if you're doing any of those like playoff marathon, like first 4-week best ball tournaments, he's a great pick, because I think he's going to be pretty heavily featured in the first 4 weeks until Addison comes back in week 4. So who do we have? I am going to take Courtland Sutton. I know I have a couple of week 12s here, so I'll have to think about that as I go into my draft for my wide receivers. But I really like Courtland Sutton, and I think I don't want to go off of the last preseason game, but it kind of goes to show that he is the alpha in that wide receiver room for Denver. We have an ascending quarterback in Bo Nix, so that's his wide receiver. So at that time, we know that he's going to get fed. And if Bo Nix continues to get better, that doesn't hurt Courtland Sutton. So, like I said, a couple of week 12 buy a wide receiver. So I'll kind of look into that as I build my wide receiver room to make sure I don't have too many week 12 buys. And so if Waddle was to come around, I will probably take him, and then maybe just make sure that all my other wide receivers are not week 12 guys. So and that is a very good possibility. But I do kind of want to, as much as I want Waddle to kind of build that Miami stack, I think there is potential with Ricky Pearsall too, because I have CMC. So maybe it's a good way to kind of build also my San Francisco kind of stack, and then avoid having to rely on just Miami, because if that does blow in my face, then my team's kind of done. So at least I got some offset the risk by getting Pearsall that could potentially build the San Francisco stack, as like for him right now, he's a wide receiver 1. Okay. Unless Juwan Jenny comes back, then it's kind of, it still he can be considered wide receiver 1, but for now he's going to get fed. I guarantee it. So I really like him as my wide receiver 3 on this team. So I'm going to take him, and then I have the CMC and Pearsall, which I can then maybe take a Purdy as well, because I think Purdy and CMC correlate pretty well, because CMC catches a lot of passes around the red zone. So there's always the potential to get touchdown passes for Purdy. Like I said, they don't have many receivers right now, so they'll have to rely on CMC's pass catching skills there. So I'm going to go with Pearsall. Like I said, Waddle was an option. I just don't want to allocate too much to Miami, even though I'm on this team, I'm believing that they're going to come back to relevance, but let's kind of offset a little bit of the risk there, and if things don't go right, and add Pearsall, which I mentioned before, will probably get fed quite a bit. So we're going to be up in 7 picks. We got Travis Hunter, Zay Flowers, Egbuka is still available, Connor Adunze, Samuel Golden, Olave, So quite a few good wide receivers still available. I think I should be able to land one of them if everything goes well. Chris Olave probably being the guy I probably want the least. I do like Debo. I do run the risk of obviously a week 12 bye again. 3 wide receivers a week 12 bye. So, but I think Debo is going to do well with Jaden, and I think that offense is going to be awesome. So, can't go wrong there. So Debo does go. I think it's going to come down to Odunze and it's going to come down to Matthew Golden for me. Let's take Matthew Golden, who I think will be one of the top receivers on the Packers if he's not already. What I mean is by the end of the year, I think Golden will probably be leading all the receiving categories for the Packers. He's been good in training camp, preseason, looking good. Hopefully Jordan Love is all right. He did have surgery for, I think, a finger or a thumb, I believe. But he's supposed to be back, and hopefully that helps and has him 100% healthy coming into the season. I know he got hurt last year early in the season, which, a lot of talk about whether or not they had to go into a run-first offense because of Jordan Love's injury. But if he's doing well and has a good start to the season, I think then we can have the balanced attack that they kind of had in 2023. So this team, I guess my fantasy football team should be called 2023 We're Back, because I think Green Bay, when they went on that little run in the playoffs, they were a good offense. Jordan Love was throwing dimes. And everything was going well. So if they can get back to that, Miami can get back to their level as well, then we're looking at a good team here. So coming around in 5 picks, let's see who's available. Addison, who I'm not scared of. Juwan Jennings, possibility of getting him, and then maybe just hoping that he's able to come back and not be on the injury reserve, because that's what they're saying could be a possibility given his calf issue. So he's still there. I don't have a tight end yet, but I think there will be options with Denver, obviously, and Green Bay. So I'll probably leave. I won't take Laporta there for that reason. I do like Hawkinson for that one reason I kind of mentioned, interesting on this one. Let's take Juwan. And let's just hope he's okay. And if he is, that's a really big bonus, because as my wide receiver 5, if he's able to come back, I have the top 2 pass catchers for the 49ers along with their top running back. So it's basically all in on the 49ers offense that we have so far. So I think the ability to kind of go off of there will be good. Poker Guts, what's up, man? So the 49ers offense, I'm all in on. Strength of schedule is there. It's the offense a little bit more condensed into, Pearsall, CMC, Kittle, and Juwan Jennings if he's able to come back. But for now, where the ball is going to go to. So kind of go over our team real quick here. I have 2 running backs. I got CMC, Devon Achane. Then my wide receiver room is Tyreek Hill, Cortland Sutton, Ricky Pearsall, Matthew Gould, and Juwan Jennings. So I'm probably going to have to make a decision on here as to where to go next. Let's highlight Purdy for now. There's that risk that he could get sniped from me. So I'm gonna go with Purdy. It's a little bit earlier than I would want. Not ideal. Like I probably could have waited because I picked 103 and his ADP is about 102. But like I said, you never know in these $5 rooms, man. The $5 rooms are gonna be pretty wild sometimes. And we have Poker Guts, and he says Tyler Warren could be Brock Bowers. Indianapolis receivers always hurt, and they aren't that great. I totally agree with you, man. I love Tyler Warren because if you can remember, Tyler Warren is going on the same pocket of the draft where Brock Bowers went last year, and it's not like everyone was really high on Brock Bowers this point of the season. Draft season. So, but he emerged as the top receiver for the Raiders, and that offense is not very different than what the Colts are looking at, right? Shitty ass quarterback. But you do have weapons on the outside. Jacoby Myers was there last year. They didn't really have anybody else other than Jacoby and Brock. So kind of similar to what they have now. Obviously, Downs and Pittman is probably an upgrade. But Tyler Warren was picked to play 100% of the snaps and be the focus of that passing offense. As much as Daniel Jones sucks and we really don't have any belief in him, he is capable of passing the ball to his wide receivers. He was able to kind of do that for Neighbors and Slate on the Giants. So let's just hope that is the case. But like I said, there's not any guarantees that's going to happen. But let's take our chances with the skill set. I love Tyler Warren, and I think he will be. I don't know if he's going to be a surprise anymore. But I think the whole rookie tight end needs a couple of years. I think that narrative's gone out the window, and we do have him going to be a big part of that Indianapolis offense. Yeah. Well, guys, you can always go just for value. You lose so much ADP reaching for correlation. I think you're right. Pograts, I thank you for that. I think you're right on that one. I probably could have waited on Purdy and just gone with a running back for that. Because if I go back and just have a quick look, what happened in that round right after. So Downs, Pittman, Kelsey, Higgins, Godwin, Charbonnet, Mooney, Krosky, Merritt, Nix, Prescott, Mayfield. So 3 quarterbacks did go. There's no guarantee to say that Purdy would have gone. Maybe it's the same 3 quarterbacks that went before my last pick would have gone. So you're right. To reach, I don't want to obviously I don't feel like I felt like I reached that much for Purdy, but I get what you're saying, and you do miss out on potential value from wide receiver and running back by doing that. So I took Evan Ingram on my next pick just to kind of I don't have Bo Nix, but then at least got the Denver correlation, and I think Ingram will have a good year as well, being kind of a little bit slept on. But given his role, I think he's going to have a good year as well. Going to go with Christian Kirk next. I do really like Christian Kirk as well. I think he's also kind of being slept on this year. Everyone kind of thinks he's a slot-only wide receiver, but from everything I've heard, he is going to be starting in the 2 wide sets for Houston. So to begin with, obviously they have those promising rookies with Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. But to start off with, Christian Kirk will be starting in the 2 wide receiver sets, and then obviously sliding into the slot when there's 3 wide receiver sets. So and you know who else played in the slot last year for Texans before he went down and was having a pretty decent season was Stephon Diggs. So if Kirk can stay healthy, I think that's always the concern with him. I think he's going to do well in that Texans offense. So I'll try to answer this one quickly. Should I trade away Jerry Jeudy or Xavier Worthy for James Conner? Xavier Worthy, I wouldn't. I think he's going to be fed for the first 7 weeks. Like, he is going to be obviously Xavier Worthy. We got second half of the season last year without Rashee Rice. So I wouldn't trade him for Conner. But Jeudy, that is pretty close. Obviously, what we're thinking is old man Flacco is going to come in and just feed Jeudy. But at the same time, there's a couple of other, like, they got Tillman and they got Joku. I don't know how good that offense is going to be. Like, Jeudy might have a couple of spike weeks, but I think the consistency you get with Conner is awesome. But at the same time, Poker Guts kind of mentioned that, yeah, Benson might take some carries, but at the same time, I don't think that they're going to be too many to begin off. I think they do trust James Conner quite a bit, but you never know. Conner has an injury history. He was able to stay healthy last year, though, so that's the only difference. But like I said, there's no guarantee that will happen as well. So yeah, I can go either way. That's a hard one. It's to kind of tell you. For my next pick, I went with CJ Stroud, and I'm just pairing him obviously with the stack of Christian Kirk. And the reason I like Houston, I think they'll probably be better. I don't know. Can't be in Bobby Slowick offense from last year. I don't know how worse you could get. But if Stroud does take that step up, given that we know the potential he does have, then I'm just banking on that. And also, like, if you look at week 15, 16, 17, which I'm not really looking at right now too closely, but they do have all indoor games week 15, 16, 17. So the good part about Houston is you don't have to worry about them having to play in the winter elements for in December. So that's always a bonus when all three of your games in the playoff season for best ball especially are all indoors. So I think I'm probably going to look at a running back right now. But first, I just want to see. I probably will take two, but I won't reach right now. We have Benson. We have Eckler. Jaden Blue. And who do we have for tight end? Kincaid. I'm between Kincaid and Ferguson right now. I just see it's like I like the value. I'm leaning towards Kincaid. Yeah, let's go with Kincaid. I like the value I'm getting here with tight end. I need a second one as well. Obviously not correlated because I'm not really a big fan of Dalton Schultz, so I don't really think I'm going to wait on him or anything. But I do like Kincaid as a value pick there. Because like I was kind of saying before, sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. With Buffalo, we saw the worst of Kincaid last year, so we kind of know what to expect. You got Ingram in there still to kind of offset any potential risk, but I think at that point you might as well take a chance on Kincaid. He is talented, and hopefully just bounces back from last year, which wasn't that great. Third year I think now for him, and part of being paired up with that quarterback of Josh Allen of skill set. I think it's always good to be part of a good offense. So, but yeah, hoping that he comes back. Back to relevance again. So I'm going to go kind of off the board with my next pick here. I'm going to look for Ollie Gordon. I really like what I saw in the preseason. Jalen Wright is obviously not doing too well. He might be out week 1 and potentially longer. They've only said week 1, but it could be potentially longer, week to week, sometimes tricky with the leg. Not really disclosing what the issue was. But let's go with Ollie Gordon to kind of pair him up with the pick of Devon Achane. So at least I get some of the Miami backfield. If Achane for any reason isn't healthy, then Ollie Gordon and Jalen Wright's already out. So at least Ollie Gordon, we know for week 1 is going to get fed. So I'm just gonna take the Miami backfield for now, and just hope that Jalen Wright, like, maybe has lost his spot. That's the whole gamble I'm taking with Ollie Gordon right now, is hoping that Jalen Wright has lost his spot and they like Ollie Gordon's skill set. His profile coming out wasn't too great. He was highly touted as a running back in college, but his combine results and all these other things weren't really didn't go well for him, so he kind of slipped in the draft. But sometimes you just need the opportunity. The skill might be there, the vision's there, but the attributes might not be there compared to like Omarion Hampton or a Gianti, but opportunity is key. So if he's able to kind of get in that backfield, establish himself early, there's no reason why McDaniels wouldn't be playing him, right? So let's see what we have available to us. I do like Tua because I am very concentrated on the Miami Dolphins offense. And so he is going around this part of the draft. For running backs, I do need a couple of more. I'm only at 3 right now. So I'll have to look at that. There is some value at the end, but not too great. So I think I might have missed the boat on quite a few, but like I said, I have CMC and HN. So if they're all healthy, I should be good for majority of the season. I do like Dante Thornton, but I will take Tua for this one, and build that finish that Miami stack off, and finish off my 3 quarterbacks, which are Brock Purdy, CJ Stroud, and Tua. And then my running backs right now are CMC, Devon Achane, Ollie Gordon, and my wide receivers, Tyreek Hill, Cortland Sutton, Ricky Pearsall, Matthew Golden, Juwan Jennings, Christian Kirk, and tight ends right now are Evan Ingram and Dalton Kincaid. So do I dare take a Darren Waller, the rap god himself, Darren Waller? Do I take him? They say he's practicing. I ideally would have liked to see him at least a couple of snaps in the preseason to see if he can still move. But that's a big gamble. But as a third tight end, it's not too bad. But at the same time, like, it's such a risk, right? He hasn't even played in the last couple of years. Didn't play any preseason, so potentially week 1 could be his first game of football in like 2-3 years. So let's kind of check out what's going on here in the chat. We got Poker Gods. I got my first and only Saquon, AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts stack early this morning. They all dropped below ADP. Yeah, that's probably a pretty sick stack, and that probably does have to happen. Everything has to fall into place, and a lot of the ADP has to be a lot of ADP where players are falling, and the potential to get all the Philly stack is always going to be good. Because you get either it's a game where they're controlling it and Saquon scoring, or it's a game where they have to keep up and Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown are connecting. So you can't go wrong on that. Yeah, that's an exciting one though, man. That for sure is an exciting one. So I'm kind of behind when it comes to my running backs. I probably will have to allocate a pick here. I'm going to go with Rico Dowdle. at least he's involved in the offense. I know it's not a very sexy name or a very exciting name, but at least he's involved in the offense. They showed in the preseason that he was playing some of the third down snaps, and he is one injury away from taking over the lead running back duties, right? If you look at it, the Panthers don't have he's the backup to Chuba Hubbard. If Hubbard was to go down, Dowdle is going to smash as the RB1 in Carolina. He'll, just like Hubbard did last year. So he's done it before in Dallas. Dowdle has. So we know he's capable of it. Is he the greatest? Obviously not. But he was taking RB1 at this late in the draft if you had the potential to. So. Poker Guts, Thielen is now in Minnesota. His stock is up for guaranteed. Yeah, that's what I was saying before. Thielen, for at least the first few weeks until Addison comes back, he's going to be a great pick for DFS. So if you're playing DFS, I'm not sure what his price is right now for week 1, but I think he's a great pick for that. He won't be played much, but he is going to be featured in an offense because they only have him. But I think Hawkinson will take a lot of those those targets away. Like Hawkins is good as well. So I don't think you should sleep on him either. Yeah, Thielen's going to do well. Let's go with my man Mason Taylor. We were Poker Guts and I were talking about Tyler Warren before, but I like Mason Taylor quite a bit. Historically, Justin Fields does support a tight end really well. So I think Mason Taylor is going to be set up for success on the Jets offense as the second best pass catcher on that team. And like I said, Justin Fields does target his tight ends quite a bit. So I think that Mason Taylor will get off the ground running with the Jets. They're not going to be very pass heavy. I understand that, but at the same time, they're going to have to pass it sometimes. And I think a lot of them, it's going to go to Garrett Wilson, but I think Mason Taylor will have a good share too. Frizzle, thanks for joining, buddy. How do you feel about Pop Douglas for redraft? I got Mark Andrews. I want to pick up a rookie tight end like Mason Taylor for that upside. Yeah, like I just talked about it. Yeah, Mason Taylor, I love. I think him, like I said, in that New York Jets offense, there's not many established pass catchers in there. And Justin Fields, like I was saying before, does love his tight ends. Pop Douglas, I think it's going to be fine. It depends on what you're playing. If it's PPR and I don't know, if it's PPR, then I for sure would like Douglas. But at the same time, half PPR, I don't know. I'm really a Douglas fan because I think he's going to, if anything, for volume. Obviously, Diggs being there doesn't help. I think Diggs will be featured quite a bit. And I think in the red zone, it's going to be a lot of run game because of Mike Vrabel. A lot of run game, so running backs will get a lot of the touches. And then Hunter Henry's still there. So I think that's my issue with Pop Douglas, where I don't know how much volume he's going to get. With Diggs around, if Diggs was not playing or injured, then I can understand that. But that kind of worries me. Let's go with Taj Brooks here as my next pick, and that's just for potential upside if, for any reason, Chase Brown was to go down. I think Taj Brooks would take on a major role. I don't think P. Ryan's that guy anymore. Maybe it was 3-4 years ago. P. Ryan I would have been worried about P. Ryan, but I think P. Ryan will kind of fit into that third down role if anything happened to Chase Brown, and Taj Brooks would take over on the early downs. But at the same time, they did praise his pass catching skills. So I think we're okay if anything was to happen to Chase Brown. Taj Brooks could step into a very heavy workload. So all good on that front there. So we're getting close to the end of the draft here. I'm looking at Malik Washington got sniped. I was hoping I could kind of land him, but that's okay. We have to adjust, and maybe I look at Jalen Noel. Jalen Noel isn't a bad pick because basically something happens to Christian Kirk. I think he would be the one that steps in, especially into that slot role for the three wide receiver sets. It goes with my CJ Stroud stack, so I get another pass catcher. So I don't think that's not a bad pick there. Another one is MVS. I think MVS as well could be a pick now that he's in San Francisco. So there's potential for him to maybe have an early role, but at the same time, I really don't feel like having an MVS. I'd rather take the ability of Jalen Noel to step into a prominent role if anything was to happen to Christian Kirk. So let's go with Noel there. And we are done this draft. It went by pretty quick here, which is always welcome. We did go with a typical, the standard 3-5-7-3 build: 3 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 7 wide receivers, and 3 tight ends. My quarterback room consists of Brock Purdy, CJ Stroud, and Tua Tagovailoa. And my running backs are CMC, Christian McCaffrey, Devon Achane, Ollie Gordon. A little bit of maybe an early reach there, but not too bad. He's kind of settled in to pick 160 on ADP, and I got him at 151. Ollie Gordon with Achane, Rico Dowdle, and Taj Brooks. So my running back room is kind of suspect. It's not the greatest, but CMC will do a lot of the heavy lifting, obviously throughout the year. So I'm going to rely on him as being my putting up a decent enough score every week until his bye. And then Devon Achane and Ollie Gordon. Hopefully they're if Devon Achane's healthy, he's going to smash every week with all those catches that he gets. On top of the rushing yards. And then Ollie Gordon, if he was to step in as the running back 2 or the goal line running back for that Dolphins offense, then there's some easy touchdowns there. Rico Dowdle as well, pass catching. He's playing a lot of the third downs in the preseason, so I think that's what his role is going to be come the season when it starts. Like I was talking about before, he is the backup to Chuba Hubbard. So if something happens to Chuba, it's Rico time, just like it was last year in Dallas. Is he an awesome name or something you feel confident about? Not really, but he's shown that he can be the guy, and he did pretty well last year for where he was going in the draft last year too. And so Rico put up 1,000 yards rushing and can catch the ball. So I think we're okay with him. Then we got Taj Brooks, and Taj Brooks is just the handcuff to Chase Brown, who I don't have on my team here. But what we're thinking is that for any reason Chase Brown was to go down, because as we know, last year he stepped into a bigger workload, a little bit past half of the season. This year, it started from week 1. He's going to have a really good workload because I think Bengals are going to be having to score 45 points a game. Their defense is going to suck. So I think if anything was to ever happen to Chase Brown, then Taj Brooks would step into the early down role and potentially a third down role as well. He could be a 3 down back. They did praise his pass catching in training camp, so it's not like they're not going to want to throw the ball to Taj. And then for the wide receiver room, we have Tyreek Hill. Hopefully he doesn't pull an Antonio Brown and retire in the third game, in the third quarter. If he doesn't retire in the third game in the third quarter, then we're okay. Hopefully he's able to come back and be the good old Tyreek off his wrist injury from last year, not get arrested after the first game. So a lot of things, if don't happen in the first week or first couple of weeks, were good, I think, for Tyreek. Then we got Cortland Sutton, Ricky Pearsall, Matthew Golden, Juwan Jennings, Christian Kirk, and Jalen Noel. So not too bad of a wide receiver room. I do like it. I think Cortland Sutton kind of gives you that little stability, and you get those points every week with playing with Bo Nix and being the wide receiver 1 for Denver. Ricky Pearsall, like I talked about before, wide receiver number 1 right now on the 49ers, especially if Juwan Jennings, who I got here as well. But if Juwan Jennings is out or in, it kind of helps the team. So if he's in, that'd be great. Then I got the top 2 pass catchers for the top 2 wide receivers for 49ers. I think Kittle's going to get a lot of catches as well, though. Matthew Golden, wide receiver number 1 for the Packers, I believe, by the end of this year for sure. And then Christian Kirk and Jalen Noel. Just kind of the Noel pick is just offsetting if anything happens to Kirk, who is going to be starting off the season as the second wide receiver in that offense. My tight end room, a little bit of a jumble of players. Evan Ingram, Dalton Kincaid, and Mason Taylor. I think I was talking with Frizzle before. He left a comment about Mason Taylor, and I think there's a lot of potential there as a rookie in a pass catching room in the Jets that don't really have anybody other than Garrett Wilson. So there's a lot of potential there. Let's look at the chat here. Poker Guts, Rico was getting receptions in preseason. I think they will use him as a scat back to start to keep Chuba fresh. I totally agree. Thanks, Poker Guts. Yeah, I definitely agree that Rico does have a role. It's not like we have to wait or he's going to be buried on and not doing anything. I don't think they want Chuba playing the third down role. So, Carolina's going to be a good team, but not a powerhouse team where I don't think they're going to have to play from behind a few games in the season. So it might be where Chuba is on the bench and Rico's in for his catching skills. While I do have people in here, please like and subscribe. It helps me a lot, just so I can get more content out. I really want to put more content out as much as I can this football season, but I really need your support. So if you could like and subscribe, that means a lot to me. I really love doing this and just like sharing as much as I can with everybody else. If it helps you in any way, it just makes me feel better about doing all this. So thank you again for your support and for watching today. I'll continue. Maybe I'll do another draft as well to kind of go on, and then we can kind of see where that leads to. Guys, I got a lot of Taj Brooks. It's a good pick, man. Like I said, Chase Brown is not, I don't know if he's built for a full workload, but maybe he surprises, maybe he does. And at the end, I think Taj Brooks will still have a role. I don't think he's going to be like not played at all. I think just to give Chase Brown a breather here and there. But at the same time, it's a long season, right? And I don't know if Chase Brown can do that all season long. So I think Taj Brooks will get an opportunity, even if it's like 1 or 2 games where Chase can't play. There might be a couple of games in there in the 18-game season where there is some Taj Brooks games in there. DJ Giddens, DJ Giddens is kind of similar to Taj Brooks, I think. So you can't go wrong. Another handcuff. If anything was to happen to Jonathan Taylor, who does get hurt quite a bit as well, then for sure DJ Giddens will step into the same role. So I think Taj Brooks, DJ Giddens, a lot of those players are available in the last, and I think another one is Kyle Monangai. So 3 of those running backs are very sneaky picks, I think, in the later rounds as your running back number 5 or 6, depending on your build. I think you should get one of those 3 because, if something was to happen to any of the starters and who are not very like don't really set any Iron Man streaks, right? Like DeAndre Swift can get injured for the Bears. Then you got Jonathan Taylor, and then you got Chase Brown. So there's a lot of opportunity for these rookies to step into big roles. Like I said, there's 3 of them there. Maybe all 3 of them get a chance. Maybe none of them get a chance, but that's fantasy football, man. You gotta take a chance sometime. And I think they make sense as to why you could pick them later in the draft. So let's go back and let's do another one. Let's do another one. So all the next week's week 1 slates are up. It's quite full here. We got a golden. Let's do a golden here. Single entry, $10 draft. If you want to join, please do. And let me know that you're in the chat, that you're in the draft room as well. That'd be fun. Poker Guts subbed. I appreciate my man. That means a lot. Thank you for joining today, and I appreciate your comments. Seems like you know quite a bit as well. nice that you have subscribed. And when I am on live, feel free to join, man. I feel like you have some great insight as well. It looks like you're drafting quite a bit. So, are you playing mostly on Underdog or DraftKings or both? I think it gets kind of a little bit overwhelming, right? Sometimes it's you got drafters in there as well, but at the same time, like, it's fun, right? Best ball is something you can only do before the season starts, and then after that's kind of like then you're kind of doing DFS. But I know that DraftKings does do best ball tournaments throughout the year. So they'll just kind of continue it after each week. It's like I know they'll have another best ball season start from week 2 until the end of the year. So DraftKings, I think, does best ball all the way up until like the midweek, so it's pretty they're out through the full year, and I think Underdog does one as well halfway through the season. So best ball, you can still get your fix, but it's always fun to do the best ball drafts on DraftKings after week 1 because of all the, you always have the odd guy that goes off, or maybe 2 or 3 guys that go off, and then their ADP just goes like all the way up to like round 4 or 5, right, for like that 1 week, like similar to like Isaiah Likely last year. Scoring 2 touchdowns in the first week, and I think then he was like one of the first 3 or 4 tight ends taken off the board, right? So, always fun to see the post week 1 best ball draft. That's always fun to see. So we started the new one here. Sorry, I just kind of started the new draft. It's a single entry, the golden, and I got pick number 6. And I was about to take CMC, but let's change it up a bit. And CD falls, so let's take CD at number 6. And I think Dallas is going to be one of those offenses, just like Cincinnati. I think they're going to be like Cincinnati, like last year. I'm not saying that like Lamb or Pickens is going to be Chase and Higgins. They could be. Lamb has had a wide receiver 1 season before, so there's no difference. I think you could have Dallas be this year's Cincinnati Bengals. So you do DraftKings, drafters mostly, and a little Underdog. Yeah, that sounds good. Just like me. Yeah, I know. It just it is fun to watch how your teams do, especially after you draft for so many weeks, like months leading up to the season, and it's like 14 weeks of just hell, right? Especially when you get down to like the week 10s, week 11, one of the bye seasons, like the buys start. It's and then you're the guys you got to pick to kind of offset that, plug in there with their 5 or 6 points that you need, and you needed like 12 to 14. That's always fun. Let's this one here. I'm gonna take Jonathan Taylor. I know we just talked about workouts about his injury history. There's always the risk of any running back getting injured, but I think given the offense, the way it's built with Daniel Jones, I think Taylor will be featured. At least you don't have to worry about Anthony Richardson right now to begin with. Like, there could be a possibility Anthony Richardson comes back like the Undertaker, and takes over his quarterback 1 role. But at the same time, I think you don't have to compete with Anthony Richardson siphoning off carries, especially in the red zone. So I think Taylor will be set up for success in the first few weeks. And I think the offense will go through him, because it's not like you're going to rely on Daniel Jones to drop back like 40, 50 times, right? You're going to want to have to control the game by the run game. And I think Jonathan Taylor's shown in the past that he can carry the load. So we'll be hoping for that with this pick. How did you feel about my wide receiver room? Sorry, did I miss one? Oh, yeah, I missed one. Sorry. Give me a sec, Frizzle. Let me just make this pick, and then I'll get back to you on that one. Let's take T in this. Yeah, let's take T. Higgins on this one. And let's go back to your wide receiver room here. Well, it's full PPR. My wide receiver room is CD, Drake London, Tet, Matthew Golden, Keon Coleman, and Pop Douglas. Who should I drop to get Mason to the waivers? So it's obviously between Keon and Pop Douglas, and I would probably lean towards Pop Douglas, only because I think Keon, I don't know, there's too much upside with him, because if like last year he had the most red zone targets for Buffalo, so that's saying something. He just didn't catch many of them, so if that goes in a positive regression, and he's kind of taking the step up, he is still young, so year number 2 in that offense, and if he becomes Josh Allen's guy, that's that's a big thing, because you're getting those touchdowns in the red zone, and not anybody else. So I would, if so, who are your tight ends? I think you said you have Mark Andrews. So I would probably take Pop Douglas. I don't think Pop Douglas is like, he's still the wide receiver 2 to 3 potentially, and then like I said, he probably won't be featured in the red zone as much, because of the nature of having Stephon Diggs and Hunter Henry and that running game. So I definitely take Mason Taylor for Pop Douglas. Yeah, I would do that one. I was looking at Trae Young, but let's let's go all in on Dallas here, and let's do the Dallas stack of CD and George Pickens. I'd also have T Higgins, so I have 3 wide receivers a week 10 buys. So something I'll obviously have to look at now going forward with all my wide receivers, and avoid the week 10, or week 10 could be looking really bad for me when I don't have any of the players playing. Bogarts. CD at number 6. Wow. Ladder Bucky on the way back. Yeah. Honestly, I could have gone either. You're just at that point, you're not, Bucky, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs. They all kind of look the same. Really well-established roles in the offense. Obviously, Bucky and Jacobs come from a better offense. I just went with Jonathan Taylor because I don't have much exposure to him, so I kind of evened it out. So I did take Jonathan Taylor on this one. But yeah, like I said, the second round's really like, you can't go wrong with any of the picks. You mentioned Ladd, Bucky, Jacobs, Chase Brown, a lot of potential picks in round 2 that are kind of very similar. My tight end is Mark Andrews, and I also got Braylon Allen, Dylan Sampson on my bench too. Yeah, so I probably would take Mason Taylor for Pop Douglas. Yeah, 100%. Just because you don't want to wait on that potential of missing out on. Let's take. I took DK Metcalf. Do I feel good about it? No. Do I enjoy having Aaron Rodgers wide receiver 1? Yes. Who else is he going to pass to? Okay, they are going to have to pass. There's no other person out there that Rodgers will pass to. And we've seen that Rodgers can still support a wide receiver 1, okay? Before Devontae Adams came, Garrett Wilson was doing fine. You still have put up 200 PP or half PPR points. And then when Devontae came, Devontae ate in the last few weeks of the best ball season. So, not to say that, that Metcalf is Devontae Adams. That's not what I'm saying here. But I just think the opportunity to be the wide receiver 1 with Aaron Rodgers, who loves feeding one guy if he has to, is okay for my wide receiver 4. like I'm not taking him in my first 2 picks, but as a wide receiver 4, there will be some games where Metcalf will be, they're gonna have to pass, and I do think he's still an option in the red zone. I think given his size and I think his ability to box out defenders, I think Aaron Rodgers will obviously look to him quite a bit when they get kind of close to the end zone. So went with Metcalf on that one. For my next one, I don't know if I should. I think I got my pick lined up here. Let's go with Pollard. James Conner is also okay, so he goes. Let's go with Tony Pollard. Simply because at this time with Tajay Spears at least out for the first 4 weeks, Pollard is going to be featured. There's no major competition. You don't have to worry about a timeshare. He is going to get fed the first 4 weeks. So let's just take those first 4 weeks of the best ball season and count on some good points or good games from Tony Pollard. So obviously Tajay Spears comes back, and if he does come back, there's no guarantee, right? He's just an IR. They don't have to activate him if he's not ready. So potentially it doesn't have to be 4 games, could be potentially 6 games. You never know. But at least let's take the healthy running back in that offense, which should be better now with Cam Ward. You don't have what's that idiot's name? Will Levis, right? Who loves throwing to other teams' cornerbacks instead of his own wide receivers. He's not there. So at the same time, the offense should be a lot better. Let's take our next one here. So we have a build of 2 running backs and 4 wide receivers. We have Jonathan Taylor and Tony Pollard as our running backs, and our wide receivers are CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, George Pickens, and DK Metcalf. Obviously, I'm going for the Dallas stack. Trying to build out the Dallas stack, thinking that they're this year's Cincinnati Bengals. But I think having a second wide receiver does help quite a bit, like for sure. Taking a little bit early because I think he's not going to fall. And I'm taking Tyler Warren. Me and Poker Guts were kind of talking about it earlier. I do like Tyler Warren quite a bit. I think he is set up for a big year. Does a quarterback scare me? Hell yes. Right? Daniel Jones does scare me. I'm not going to lie. But you gotta take the guy that's drafted, that the Colts wanted, played 100% of the snaps in preseason, looks the part. Could potentially be this year's version of Brock Bowers. So let's take that chance and let's take him as our top tight end on this team. Let's go for the first question here. Arturo. I apologize if I've messed that up. Flores, you like where Worthy is going in the 4th round? I do now, after the Rashee Rice news. I think what we have as the offense is for the first 7 weeks, until Rashee got suspended for 6 games. So the first 6 weeks, I guess, is you're going to get the offense similar to what Kansas City was putting up late last year, with Worthy being the wide receiver 1, and he put up some good scores, right? You remember his game in the Super Bowl and the playoffs, and then the weeks leading up to the playoffs. He was wide receiver 1, and he showed that he could carry the load. So at this point, you're getting 6 weeks of awesome production and being the wide receiver 1 for Kansas City. I think that's where he goes. I don't think he's going to drop any further than that. And I think even round 4 might be, I think even round 3 is probably going to be where he's going to end up. After everyone kind of absorbs this news, because like in best ball, that's like half a season, right? Like where you're going to get potentially a wide receiver 1. So Rashee Rice was going in the week 1 or end of round 2, in the beginning of the best ball season before all the suspension news came out. So, and I think, and we already knew that he was going to get suspended. So this one with Worthy, at least you're getting 6 weeks of top tier production. And then when he comes back, we'll see what happens, right? He's still going to be featured in the offense. He's not going anywhere. So he can still put up some good scores after when Rashee Rice comes back. So I don't think we need to be scared of him. But at the same time, let's take, so I think he's still going to be fine. Worthy will be, and he might have a few games where he is the focus of the offense, scores 2 touchdowns, 2 long touchdowns, and gives you good scores. So if you can get 8 or 9 weeks of good scores from your wide receiver in best ball, that's good. That's all you need, right? So yeah, I like where Worthy's going. Thank you, Mr. Flores. And Chandler, do you answer fantasy football questions? Yes, I do, my man. Please feel free to drop it in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer it in between the picks. And if anyone is joining, please like and subscribe. Like I said, I want to do quite a bit of this content going into the fantasy football season. So if you could, please like and subscribe so you can join in when I am live. That would be great, and I can answer any questions that you might have. So we have a team of 1, 2, 4, 1. We are looking at Dak Prescott, Jonathan Taylor, Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, George Pickens, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Warren. I'm probably looking at a wide receiver here, and I do like let's take Chris Godwin. Obviously, I don't have him for the first few weeks. They didn't put him on IR, which is surprising. So I think we're probably looking at a week 3 or maybe a week 4 when he's able to come back. But he passes physical, which means that he's okay physically. There's no concerns at this time. So if he's able to come back and I'm getting him as my 5th wide receiver and at pick 102, like that's good enough for me. Obviously, we know what Tampa Bay offense is. They're a passing offense. They're a good offense. So if Chris Godwin can kind of, obviously with Ibuka there, it's obviously gonna take away targets, but at the same time, like being on the playing in the slot or wherever he does end up, he's still going to be featured in the offense. Obviously when you have 3, it's kind of like Kansas City, right? Same type of situation. Probably better for Tampa Bay. They have better wide receivers, but yeah, any guy can go off, I guess, when it comes to that. So, but if for any reason Ibuka or Evans goes down and Godwin's back healthy, then there's always opportunity there as well. So, yeah. So far we have a 1-2-5-1 build. I think I'll probably look at a running back for my next pick or a tight end, depending on who's available. How do you feel about Amari Cooper? Are you picking him up? It is interesting. Obviously, he didn't do well with Buffalo last year. Like, obviously, Buffalo is a run first offense, so I don't know how much, but he seemed kind of washed. I don't know. He's 31 years old now. They do have Dante Thornton that's stepping up. Then they have Brock Bowers. And then they have Jacoby Myers, who's still there. He's not going anywhere. I don't think he's going to be traded, even though he wants to be traded. I don't think he's going to be traded. So I'm not totally sure how to answer. Like, I don't know. I think one of the things is like we don't get to see any preseason Amari Cooper. Is he still good in man coverage? Yeah, like I think he's still good against man, I believe. So there's potential there, but I'm just not sure. I can't really say for sure. I probably wouldn't. I think just because there are so many players there and the potential isn't the greatest. So is he going to make a great impact? Sorry, go back to your question first. If he's going to make a great impact, I don't know. I don't think so. I think you have too many mouths to feed. Now you have a running game too with Genty. I think he'll be fine, but like I wouldn't reach for Cooper. If he's the last pick of your draft, like in best ball in the 20, like in DraftKings, maybe he's fine if you have a Geno Smith or you have a Vegas stack going. But don't reach for Amari Cooper. Oh my God. Hurts in the 5th round. And that's awesome. Tell me which draft you're drafting in, buddy. Let's make this pick here, and then I'll circle back to your question, Chandler. So we're looking at maybe a running back in this round. Sorry, I gotta just check where I pick next. 139, which would probably be Ferguson. 50. So let's take Braylon Allen on this one. I think he's gonna have quite a big of a role in on the New York Jets offense. They've kind of said, the coach Aaron Glenn has kind of said, I want the Detroit David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, maybe just coach speak, but so far what they have is Braylon Allen being David Montgomery and Breece Hall being Jahmyr Gibbs. Obviously a diet version, not the real thing, but if that's the case, then Braylon Allen might be featured in the red zone, and we'll get a lot of the carries in between the tackles, in between the 20-yard line. So we're good if that's the case. Chandler's question is, would you trade Kamara, Worthy, Terry, and Njoku for Jamar Chase PPR? No, not for that much. I wouldn't personally. That's a lot to give up. Yeah, that's a lot of depth. Even Worthy, like I said, is comparable for the first few weeks. Terry McLaurin, Njoku, no, I think that's a lot to give up. But yeah, if you could give me your team, which you already did, so sorry, thank you for that. Your wide receiver room consists of Kamara, Connor, CMC, Mixon, and JCM. So Mixon, we're not sure about. You might already lose him, so you're going to have a really Connor, CMC, and JCM, which isn't too bad. Then the wide receiver room is Garrett Wilson, Worthy, Terry, Evans, and AG. God, how do you guys get all these players, man? Chandler, are you an 8-teamer, man? How do you have all these players? It looks like maybe a 10-team, I think. Just looking back at the players now. Kelsey and Njoku. I don't think you need Jamar Chase. Given your wide receiver room, you have some good names in there. You have AJ Brown, and you have Mike Evans, and you have Garrett Wilson, and then Worthy too. Like I said, he's going to put up some good numbers in the first few weeks. So I don't think you need Jamar Chase on your team, man. I wouldn't go for him because you lose a lot of depth. Like I said, Mixon, you're pretty much gone. There's no guarantees coming back. And if he was to come back, we're not sure when that timeline is. So I don't think that would be a wise decision. So maybe I would say just hold off on that trade. I don't think you need to do that. Your wide receiver room is pretty stacked as is. Adding Chase in there is not really going to do much, I don't think, for your team. The $3 King of Desert. Yeah, okay. The King of the Desert qualifiers on DK. Yeah, those are wild, man. You know what's wild in the more than the $3 one is the $1 one. The $1 one is so wild. I have a video up. If you get a chance, take a watch. It is, it's guys taking 3 running backs and then Joe Burrow as the 4th pick as your quarterback. It's wild stuff. If you want to have some fun, if you want to go no holds barred, go into a $1 King of the Desert qualifier on DK, and yeah, that'll give you your best ball exposure. What happens in the wild jungle of best ball. that right away, right? That's a good room to do your best ball training in. It's like going into the jungles, for guerrilla warfare training is best ball training is that the dollar rooms. We are going in as our, and now we got to potentially make, I'm going to take the value with Justin Herbert, and I will figure out how to make a stack if I need to. Otherwise, let's just take Justin Herbert way past ADP. Pick 150. Like, if I don't have a stack, I really don't care. Getting Herbert that late in the draft is a bonus as my second quarterback. And if I need to, I could probably get Quentin Johnson, QJ at the end of the draft, or I can probably potentially get Najee right now if that's the case. So, if you're gonna let Justin Herbert sit there, I might as well just take him. So 12-team auction draft, yeah, that's pretty good for your team. Yeah, so your wide receiver room, like I was saying, is pretty good. I don't think you really need to mess with your team, man. I don't think Jamar Chase can really do much other than take away a lot of your depth. You get Kamara in a PPR league with CMC, so you're pretty good set up there really well. And then, like I was saying, your wide receiver room is set. So for now, I would hold off. That's a lot to give up for Chase, and I don't think it's worth it for your team, buddy. So stay pat, man. I think you got a good team. $61 drafts, man. You are a warrior. You are, one of those guys that has like all the medals on his shoulders. The badges, all the stuff to show. The scars from those best ball drafts are real. My man Poker Guts has been in it. He's been deep in the jungles fighting off idiot drafters. 60 of those, man. Good on you. I'm going to take Quinshon Judkins because I'm an idiot. Oh! Sometimes idiots like me make a mistake where you don't star. This has happened to me in the past. Always remember to star people. Oh my God. I was going to take Tajay to offset my Tony Pollard, but I took Quinshon Judkins, who doesn't even have a contract. Your dad is in trouble. Taking a player that might be playing in college. I wonder if his college stats would give, I wonder if he does go back to college, if you're able to export or import, I guess, in this sense, his college stats into your NFL best ball, which I don't think is the case. So your dad will take an L on that one. Pretty stupid, that's for sure. We have a build of a 4-6-2. I would ideally like to get a wide receiver, but I can probably wait on that one. There's some good names available. Let's take Rico again. Rico back-to-back Rico picks. I'm going to have to probably take an extra running back to offset the Quinshon Judkins college season. I've taken a player that doesn't even have a contract in the NFL just because I didn't star. Always remember to star people. It's just kind of like, protection, all the things about safe sex, making sure you have protection. In the best ball street, that's equivalent to making sure you always star the player so you don't at the last second have a Quinshon Judkins on your team. So that's a PSA for all of you to remember as you go into best ball drafts. Please like and subscribe if you can. It helps me a ton, and it also helps me know that I'm making a difference in this best ball world. Obviously, I'm going to have to edit out the part where I didn't star the guy, so my credibility does not go down the toilet. But at the same time, if you do like the content, enjoy a few laughs, that's what I'm here for. Your dad is just here to play best ball and also give you some shitty ass dad jokes. So looking at the team so far, we have a 2-5-6-2 build. We have Dak, we have Justin Herbert, we have Jonathan Taylor, Tony Pollard, Braylon Allen, Quinshaw Judkins, because I'm an idiot, Rico Dowdle as our running backs, and we have CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, George Pickens, DK Metcalf, Chris Godwin, Marvin Mims Jr., and our tight end room consists of Tyler Warren and Jake Ferguson. So we are all in on Dallas on this team. We are rolling with Dallas. If Dallas sucks, we suck. If Dallas does well and is in the shootout every game, then we are going to do well. So except for week 10 when there's a bye, but other than that, we are going to be good. So we're just hoping for that. Let's go with QJ to kind of have somewhat of a stack when it comes to having Justin Herbert. I took Justin Herbert simply because he was at pick 150 and hadn't been picked, and his ADP is at 127. So quite a bit of value there in getting Justin Herbert, who is not that shitty. So I'm not sure why he was dropping. But yeah, I'll take him 2 rounds later. Thank you. So we got Justin Herbert, and now we have QJ to kind of build that stack. Does QJ suck? Yes, he does. Will he drop a touchdown in the end zone that falls right into his hands? He probably will. But nothing beats cursing at a TV and cursing at QJ in week 7. So I'm just doing it for that. Just doing it for the cheap ones, just being able to scream at my TV is always fun. So let's just do that by picking QJ. Let's kind of plan out what we plan to do with our next few picks, so we don't get scarred again. Scarred for the starred. My wide receiver room looks okay. I think as long as Chris Godwin comes back, I think we're going to be fine. I do need another tight end, so I think I will be going with my man Mike Gesicki, and that's really just to offset the DJ Giddens who I was going to look at because I have Jonathan Taylor, so DJ Giddens gets sniped. Who do I have? Taj Brooks is still available. Kyle Monangai is still available. Sean Tucker is still available. And then just right at this point, I'm just trying to take anybody that has a pulse, is in a handcuff that could potentially take over. So that's what we're doing if the starter was to ever go down. Let's take Gesicki. And just because I have T. Higgins, so I'm taking Gesicki. Also, I feel like T. Higgins, unfortunately, does get hurt. The man's hammies are at a 0.25 out of a 1. So whenever Higgins went down, Gesicki kind of stepped up because Gesicki's not really a tight end. He's a slot wide receiver, if you think about it. So if Higgins goes down, Gesicki usually has his better games. So it's really just to offset the risk of if Higgins can't play. So we have a tight end room is done, and we have Tyler Warren, Jake Ferguson, and Mike Gesicki. Our wide receiver room is done as well. CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, George Pickens, DK Metcalf, Chris Godwin, Marvin Mims Jr., and QJ Quentin Johnston. I think I'm going to roll 2 quarterbacks. I'm going to rely on Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert to carry me throughout the season. Adding a Tyler Shuck, a Anthony Richardson, a Jalen Milroe, Spencer Rattler. Oh my God, I can't believe I said his name. Those kind of guys do not do it for me. Adding them right now is not going to do much. Just because of the Quinshaw Judkins pick, where he was forced onto me, he's forced onto my team. I will have to take another running back, so I have my guys lit up here, starred, ready to go. Sean Tucker and Justice Hill. Sean Tucker, just for the same simple reason as Bucky Irving. was to ever go down, I think Sean Tucker would feature in a heavily used role. And then I have Justice Hill, who gets kind of slept on. Like, Justice Hill has a role in the Baltimore Ravens offense, right? He is the pass catching back. If they find themselves falling behind, Justice Hill is the one that kind of steps in and takes those passing down. So, but in this case, I will go with, let's go with Sean Tucker. Must die. Actually, Sean Tucker must not die. And he is there to help us in case Bucky was to go down. So our team is done. Our team is a 2-6-7-3 build. We have Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert as our quarterbacks. Our running back room consists of Jonathan Taylor, Tony Pollard, Braylon Allen, Quinshawn Judkins, unfortunately, Rico Dowdle, and Sean Tucker. And then our wide receiver room consists of CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, George Pickens, DK Metcalf, Chris Godwin, Marvin Mims Jr., Quentin Johnson. And our tight end room is Tyler Warren, Jake Ferguson, and Mike Gesicki. So the Judkins kind of screwed me up, but it's okay. I think it's not too bad. I'm kind of worried about my depth at wide receiver after Metcalf. Like, Godwin's obviously an injury. If he's able to come back, that'd be great. But it's not the same Tampa Bay as last year. Igbuka will mix in more, so he will probably take away some targets. But if Godwin comes back, and is healthy for the rest of the year, then it's not bad as my fifth wide receiver. Marvin Mims is wide receiver 2 in Denver, but don't believe that lying sack of shit Sean Payton. That guy changes decisions, he'll say one thing and then do something else. So for now, Marvin Mims is the wide receiver 2 in quotation marks, but we never know with that guy in that team. But if he's shown last year late in the season that he can put up some big games with that speed and getting downfield. So if Bo Nix has taken that step up, which I believe he has, I think he is a good quarterback, and I think he will be better even this year than Marvin Mims. And if he's potentially playing more than he was early in the season last year, then I think it's a value pick. Quentin Johnson, the Mr. Drop King. For every one drop that Quentin Johnson does, he makes a catch. So I'm hoping that that offsets and he's able to have a usable weeks, especially week 10 is probably when I need him the most. Otherwise, I think I'm relying on these three to carry me for most of the season. And then Tyler Warren, I love Tyler Warren. I think he is this year's Brock Bowers, and I think he's going to do well. He's going to be playing a lot of snaps. Featured in the passing game, going to be getting rushes. They've been giving him the ball in the backfield. Like, if he's able to get a couple of rushing touchdowns as a tight end, like, that's a double bonus, right? Like, you don't get that from a tight end. So if you're able to get a few touchdowns, that's awesome. And then you got Jake Ferguson to kind of go with my Dak Prescott. So I have the whole Dallas passing offense minus Turpin. So we're good on that. And then Mike Gesicki to offset the T. Higgins risk of injury. So, let's, I just wanted to say one more time, please like and subscribe. I enjoy talking fantasy football. It's not just best ball. If you have any redraft questions, feel free to drop those in here in the chat. I've had quite a few come up, so been able to answer those. I always enjoy providing some insight if I can on any trade proposals that you have out there. And then you get an opinion on that as well. So let's have another one. It's okay to laugh. Yes, it is, my friend. How would you feel if RJ Harvey was your RB2 full PPR 10 team? Can you give me your other running backs on your team? I think he's fine. Like, he is going to have a role in this offense. They got rid of Estime. McLaughlin is not going to do much. Then they have Tyler Bidet. So it's not like you have to worry. I think J.K. Dobbins will have a role. So I don't think like RJ Harvey's going to be the man 3 down like all the way. But I think there are going to be some games when they're playing from behind, or they need RJ Harvey's skill set, like in any of the shootouts. Then I think at that point, I think he's fine, because he is going to be he is like a pass catching running back. So But if you give me your running back room, it can kind of make a better, give you some better insight. But I don't think it's a bad pick. You're just picking for upside. But the only thing with, like I said, Sean Payton is like, you just never know where it's going to go. If Sean Payton says one thing, he does something else, you never know. But I think you're fine, pending your other IR running backs. And yeah, they are Chase Brown, Charbonnet, Bill Krosky, Merritt, and Will Shipley as a flyer. So you're okay with Chase Brown, Charbonnet? Yeah, like if Kenneth Walker is healthy, Charbonnet's not going to be like, he's not getting enough carries or targets to be able to put up decent scores. So, and then Bill Krosky, Merritt is still a little bit of a wild card, right? Like Eckler's obviously taking the passing down, so but we don't know if Bill Krosky is going to be featured as much, or is it a 50-50 split with Chris Rodriguez? We don't know yet, so we won't know that for sure. And then Will Shipley is obviously is there in case Saquon ever was to go down. So I think for now, I think RJ Harvey's fine. Like I said, we're not sure how that backfield is going to play out. I think it's going to be different every game, depending on the game script. But I think the good thing is, like, they got rid of Estime, so I don't think there's any concerns about, if RJ Harvey fits in there, or if they're concerned about him. I think he's going to feature quite a bit. So I think you're fine, unless there's some guy on the waivers that you're asking about. But I think right now your running back room is fine. Obviously Bill Merritt is a big question mark. If he's like featured like pretty heavily in the running game, the first early downs, then you're looking good. And then if Kenneth Walker ever was to go down, oh man, Charbonnet is going to smash. Like, I don't even think you have to worry about RJ Harvey at that point. Chase Brown and Charbonnet will probably be your picks every week. I think you have a lot of upside on your team. If things fall into place, you could have a really awesome running back room. Obviously it has to do a lot with injury, but even having Chase Brown and Bill Krosky, and then RJ Harvey, and so I think you're good. Yeah, you're fine, buddy. Thanks for that. It's okay to laugh. Appreciate it. Should we do another draft? Like, do you guys want to do one? Like, I don't know. All this talk about the $1 rooms, right? Just makes me want to kind of go in there and have some fun. Should we do it, everybody? Should we go into a $1 wild jungle? I don't know if that's still available. Oh, it is. It is available. Should we get in there? Let's try to get in there. This is just for everyone's viewing pleasure. We're going deep in the jungle, people. We're going into the $1 King of the Desert qualifier. I was telling my man Poker Guts before that this is wild shit. Okay? It's not for the faint of heart. You're going to see some wild shit happen in this draft room. So be prepared. The NSFW, not safe for work when you're watching this, because it can get pretty wild. But yeah, please feel free to drop any questions you might have regarding your fantasy football drafts, your teams. Let me know if you're drafting this weekend. Let me know if you're drafting this week, where you're drafting the slot, and let's see if we can kind of get an idea of where to go with your picks. It's always fun to get together with the friends or whoever you play with, family, sometimes friends, coworkers, whoever it may be. It's always fun to draft and shoot the shit. So always like to hear everyone's draft stories. If anyone has a crazy draft story about what they do when they draft, do you guys travel somewhere? Do you guys book a room at your favorite restaurant? Like, give me some fun stories that you guys do with your drafts. Always like hearing about those. As well as like any punishments. What do you have as your punishments for finishing last? That's always fun to hear as well. So we're drafting in Draftkings now. We've kind of switched over from Underdog and we've moved over to Draftkings. We're doing a $1 King of the Desert qualifier. It is pretty crazy when you are in this draft room. So I'm going to tell everybody it's not going to be very conventional, but at the same time, it's a good warm-up. It's good to kind of get your muscles relaxed, or not relaxed, more tense, I guess, if anything. But just kind of loosen up, practice your best ball skills, and figure out what stacks you can make with your picks later in the rounds. It's always fun to do. So let's look at some of the news that's coming in. Obviously, the next couple of days it has a lot of news of players getting claimed off waivers and people signing with some other teams. Doesn't look like there's a chance Najee could play week 1. So the firework man himself could potentially get in there week 1 and lessen the hype for Marion Hampton, who will be good. And of course, this draft is a slow draft. So we just entered a slow draft. I feel like that happens when you pick at the last, like if you're the last like 10, 20 people joining the draft, because I think it was right at capacity. It autos to slow for some reason. So I potentially will sit here for now for the next 8 days, and we'll draft this one team over 8 days. That's the joy of entering a slow draft. So let's get out of there. That's not what we wanted to do. And let's try to get into another best ball one. So some rooms are still open. There's some potential to get in. A lot of the tournaments aren't really at capacity, so we're still good for until this week. Let's get in this $1 one here. I promised everybody a $1 draft, and that's what I'm going to deliver. So we'll get back into the room here and see when that starts. But going back to the news, Chiefs signed Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's back again. That man just goes to another team, then comes running right back to the Kansas City Chiefs. He joins the practice squad. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire is back on the KC Chiefs. Like they could use any more retread running back options. They have Clyde coming back. And then other than that, I think the MVS news, Trey Palmer signed with the Saints, or was claimed off waivers. So it was a surprise cut from the Buccaneers, given their wide receiver injuries, but they must feel good about Chris Godwin coming back. So Trey Palmer got waived, and then he got picked up by the Saints, who obviously are always hurting for any type of body to do any type of work for them. So yeah, he's back. He's there. Rocket Sanders got cut from the Chargers and got claimed by the Browns. So not sure what's happening there. He's going to probably fall behind Samson and Jerome Ford to start the season. No news on Judkins yet, so we're not sure if he's even going to play for the Browns ever. So we have Sanders falling as the running back 3 for the Browns. And then MVS signed with the 49ers. Obviously, the biggest news of the day. MVS's tour of the NFL continues, and now he's added San Francisco to his resume. But he might have an opportunity because there are a lot of injuries right now in San Francisco. So he might have the opportunity to play, which will probably be good for him, and a good landing spot, I guess, for him. And we are continuing our draft. Today we are in the $1 Best Ball King of the Desert qualifier tournament. This is wild shit. A lot of stuff goes down in these rooms, but what we're doing is we're practicing. We're playing around to see where we can end up and what happens. But yeah, always fun to see for sure. And with that, let's begin we have the pick number 11 on this draft, so we're gonna see how that goes. Right now, who do we have around the ADP section? So we have GNT, Puka is still kind of falling, Brian Thomas, Drake London, Chase Brown. So, and you have the Amon-Ra. So you have quite a few good players at the end of the draft, which is always fun to do with the back-to-back. But there's potential for, I don't think there's much of a fall off when you have these players at the end here. So I think we're looking good. CeeDee Lamb goes at pick number 4. So far we have Jamar Chase, Bijan, Barkley, and Lamb. Pretty tame room right now so far. You just never know. It could go wild. But right now we have some reasonable drafters right now in the room. But like I said, you never know if there's 3 running backs off the board for your first 3 picks. That usually happens around pick number 3. So I'm looking at you, Rocco the World, wherever your name is. But so Neighbors goes number 6. I don't know if that's really a big reach. Like, he falls anywhere from 6 to 9. So, but Jefferson does fall all the way to number 9. So a little bit of a surprise there. And I will take Amon-Ra St. Brown with my pick. And then I'm going to be thinking about either Drake or GNT. So I'm going to look at one of those two. Chase Brown goes next, and let's see what this guy has lined up for next. And he takes AJ Brown. So I will skip on that. I'm going to take Drake London. Maybe I'm the guy that's messing up the draft room, but I really like Drake London this year. I think with Michael Penix coming in, he's got that arm. He's a pocket quarterback. I think Drake London is going to do well, especially with Darnell Mooney not 100% for the start of the season. So you could see where Drake London is going to be eating in the first few weeks. He put up some big numbers last year without Darnell Mooney and Michael Penix. So I think Drake London can have a really good season this year, especially with the upgrade at quarterback, given noodle arm Kirk Cousins at the end of last year. But if anything was to ever happen to Penix and Kirk Cousins comes in, Kirk Cousins loves himself some Drake. So I don't think there'll be much of a drop off in regards to targets. He'll still get targeted quite a bit. So I think Drake London but he's primed for a big year. Like I've heard some crazy shit about him potentially being the wide receiver 2 or 3 this year. And it's not, it doesn't sound that crazy to me. So, especially in this draft, have some fun, take some players that you probably wouldn't, or normally don't fall to you, that you want some exposure to. It's a $1 draft, people. It's not a big deal. Just take who you can, and maybe just make a crazy team. Because I honestly, in a tournament like this, where it's a dollar tournament, best ball, your team's gotta be like something different. It's gotta be unique. Not to the point where you're just picking 8th round guys in your 3rd round. Not saying do that, but maybe a unique build, something different to kind of create some difference when you're dealing with like 50,000 entries in a best ball tournament. And let's see if there's any craziness in this room. So looking at it, Brock Bowers, Irving, Jacobs, McConkey. So nothing too crazy, pretty tame in this room right now. I think wide receiver 3 is when you get like the crazies coming out, but AJ Brown goes a little bit brown to brown, goes a little bit earlier than normal. AJ Brown goes number 13 with Chase Brown. So the brown to brown squared at the end of the draft here with Rick James. I stepped on your couch. Rick James is pretty unique, I guess, in a sense. But you might have a lot of people that had Chase Brown and AJ Brown in the middle of the draft. So I don't know if it's that unique, but AJ Brown goes earlier than normal. Jackson Smith and Jigba. So Achane fell all the way up to pick 24. So that's crazy. The Chase and HN duo might be very unique. I don't know how many times I've seen that. So if HN's all good to go week 1, like the GM came out earlier today and said, then Chase, HN, and Jackson Smith and Jigba, not too bad. That's a pretty good start. Mike Evans goes off the board. So, pretty tame. Yeah, not getting too many crazies in here. James Cook goes a little bit earlier than normal as well. We still have some value on the board. And then Trey McBride goes. So we're coming up here pretty quick. Who do we have available to us? We have the man Tyreek. We have Travion Henderson. We have George Kittle, Marvin Harrison Jr., Garrett Wilson, and we have Jaden Daniels available to us. I think I know where I'm going, but let's see what happens with the draft here. I was looking at Travion Henderson, not going to lie. So Travion goes, so that goes my pick for running back. And Kittle goes. So let's do Worthy, who I liked. I was talking about Worthy before, about how he's going to give me some good 6 weeks of production. So let's take Xavier Worthy for those first 6 weeks until Rashee Rice comes back. And when he does come back, Worthy's not going anywhere. He's still going to be around. So we're still okay with that. Let's take Kenneth Walker. I don't have much Kenneth Walker. I always get scared of him because of the injury risk. But I feel like what you can do in best ball, what works really well, fortunately, is take Kenneth Walker and then take Zach Charbonnet later in the draft around I think it's the 9th or 10th round, I believe. Only because, like, if, for example, Kenneth Walker goes down to injury, you have Zach Charbonnet that steps in, and like he's done in the past, like he did last year, and he smashes. He's RB1. He puts up some big scores. So always offset your Kenneth Walker with a Zach Charbonnet pick later in the draft. Prioritize him because if one way or another, if Kenneth Walker goes down, at least you have a viable backup in Charbonnet that can step into that role of RB1 and carry you guys in your best ball team. So and let's take a quick look to see. We have Marvin Harrison obviously fallen quite a bit. Falls into the 4th round. Garrett Wilson as well falls into the 4th round. Jaden Daniels in the 4th. Kamara in the 4th. Jalen Hurts in the 4th. So nothing too crazy. This draft is pretty tame. Unless people are becoming a little more civilized. And we're not having too many people that are doing the crazy stuff. But Joe Burrow goes to a CeeDee Lamb, Josh Jacobs, and Omarion Hampton team, so that obviously makes sense. Screws a guy that has Higgins and Chase out here, but that's okay. Like I was saying before, the Chase and HN combo is probably pretty unique, so mixing in Joe Burrow would have been nice, but that guy will have to deal with it. In the $1, no one has any friends. It's all enemies. So the $1 room is quite cutthroat. And don't expect your stack to work out for you. And once again, if you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. It helps me a ton as I build content for this channel and as I build a viewer base. Just love talking about fantasy football and just want to make sure I can hit as many people as I can. But with that, I do have to go a little bit earlier than I'd wanted to, so I will be back later on today, hopefully, to do some more drafting, and I'll have to leave this room and I'll share what I came up with this draft. Thanks again. Take care.